So curiosity, I was thinking of this idea that curiosity takes courage to be curious. And, I thought of that for a moment, and I thought, it actually doesn't take courage to be curious. It takes courage to act upon your curiosity. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I've been curious about many things, and I wasn't afraid of them at all, because I didn't do them. So, because I found out that that wasn't mine to do. But I've been loving this idea of curiosity. It brings back that childlike wonder. The courage comes to say, I'm curious to love more than I've ever loved before. I'm curious what that would feel like. What would that be like? How would life look? And yesterday, Rita and I have, when you live with a fellow spiritual minister, doctor, call us whatever you want, they're just names and stories. But it is a pleasure to live with someone because we always have a sounding board for one another. If that's for me, I'm not taking, okay. And so I thought there must be, I had this conversation and I said, I'm really curious to why I'm reacting the way I'm reacting right now and being triggered or behaving a certain way. Anybody ever have those feelings? I know I'm probably by myself because, but what's with the trigger? Because it never has anything to do with the person, place, or thing ever. It never, ever has been but it sure feels like it at the time. So I said, I'm going to go into like Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind. When he had a question, he said, I'm going in, I'm going to sit down, and I'm not coming out until I have an answer for it. And one of the ones that he did was for two things he did. He did that for a treatment for someone who was going through alcoholism. And he did not want to be in the same room as them. He wanted to be in the room next to them. So he was not watching the effect, but he was only seeing and feeling the purity of who this incredible being was and is, right? So he also did that he was wondering why he was doing all of these treatments and all of these sessions and nobody was paying him for them. It was a business, like a massage or anything else. You have your sessions, you go in. And in Catholic religion, that doesn't happen because the priest is obligated to do that. But, everybody has their own different thing. The counselor, I consider myself a spiritual counselor, a spiritual coach. So he couldn't understand. He said, I do all of this and not even a tip, And so he realized, and it just came to him so brilliantly, because he never asked for it. Wow, that was a quickie. He said, I wasn't demanding that for myself. I didn't have enough of my own self-esteem, my own integrity to ask for that. And that goes across the board with everything. If there's something you want and something you require in your life. And so to be curious, but there must be something dangerous about curiosity, or there wouldn't be that phrase, what? Curiosity killed the cat. Ooh. And my mama never told me this part, but satisfaction brought it back. How easily it gets left out. Because you see, if I had thrown that one in, I couldn't scare you into not going where they didn't want me to go. And it's all a protective thing, right? Because we have a center cat. And she is very curious about everything. Sniffs everything, knows everything, feels everything. We're knowing now that this beautiful Quanta, during sessions and during any kind of emotional anything, she will arrive at your feet to make sure that she can bathe in that with you because of that kind of power of this cat. So if you think we just have a center cat that came here to get rid of a few rats and a few mice, we are sadly mistaken. This cat is from the quantum field, and I'm not afraid to say it. It arrived here. It insurged something, as like Rita said, it was a part of some of her saving of her soul. That's how important we all are to one another, and the cat as well. But I thought to myself, I get it, no, I get it. That you want to tell them, because when you start to go, what's that over there? What's that? What's that? I'm still not here. I mean, when you're this popular, it's just amazing. So when you're curious, you're constantly what? Reaching out. What's that? What would that be like? Wow, that's really, and then you might ask, how did you do that, or how did that happen? But there's an excitement to it, right? It's like, what if I went over there? I remember moving to New York, and what would it be like to live in New York City? I'm a California kid. What would it be like? What would it be like? And I kept picturing it and seeing it, and I ended up in New York City, and I kept going back and forth, because I was curious to see what New York City was like. And I even made up excuses and ways to get there so I wouldn't be judged. Judgment, that thing. And I used to remember saying, as a actor, you would always go, I'm bi-coastal. I live in New York and I live in California. I can't get hired in New York and I can't get hired in California. So what is that? I am bi-coastal. I just love saying it too. It's like, oh, where do you live? I'm bi-coastal. Then things changed. But it was fun to say bi-coastal. So I want to just unpack this one little section about why curiosity requires courage. Because it means, number one, I'm giving you 3 little steps, because it means stepping into the unknown. Curiosity is definitely uncertainty. You don't go, I'm really curious about that because I know all about it. No, you're curious about that because you know nothing except the feelings that you're having. It says curiosity is the opposite of certainty. To be curious is to admit, wait for this one, I don't know. But I'm willing to find out. And that's what curiosity wants you to do. And it's also very, very vulnerable. To actually explore curiosity is a vulnerable place to be. Because I remember even moving to New York, and I was really nervous about it because I was hearing all these stories. Like, all my friends in California were going, pack a gun, man, because Central Park is really dangerous out there. Oh my God, Central Park is so beautiful, and I had such a good time. They lied to me. They told me that curiosity killed the cat, but my satisfaction brought it back, and I loved it there. So it's vulnerable. It's meeting the unknown. And number 2, it can disrupt what we all love so much. Ooh, you remember those zones? The comfort ones? The comfort zones. What I've always been amazed at with myself, I only use myself, how comfortable I can get with a zone that is so miserable and so uncomfortable. It's like being on a bed of nails. And I'm going, but at least I know what a bed of nails feels like. It's my comfort zone. And so this curiosity is what? It is a mover. And then, last but not least, it invites us to transformation. So it absolutely does. And sometimes, and I've done this recently, you can be so curious and you open up a door, say, I'm going in. And then when you walk in, it shuts behind you and locks. And you're like, oh, but I can go back. No. Sometimes you open up that door to that transformation that you want, and you want to sneak back, and you find out that the door has been locked. And that isn't by anybody else but me. Because I want to lock that door to make sure that I don't go back to that bed of nails or that thing that is uncomfortable for me. So I just get curious about everything. I'm curious right now as I'm looking at all of you. You could be curious, like, I wonder what they're all thinking. I wonder what everybody does. And I want to say, it takes courage to stand up here. hello, Quanta. I remember as a little boy so curious to see what it would be like to stand up in front of a lot of people because I was so scared, because I was very shy. And I always wondered what that would feel like and look like. And I remember going up there and my knees were shaking, and then I started thinking, what is that like? And what I know is this, is sometimes it feels really good now to stand here and look at you, but I don't know what you're thinking about me. And as I would say many times, I probably don't want to know. But I do know one thing. Nice shirt, huh? Yeah. And I do that because a lot of times people think that people that are somewhat of an extrovert or appear to be, that it is so easy. And it is. I feel comfortable here. I feel like this is where my life is and where it's going to be going. And our dear Candle, who's out in the cosmos now, I said to him, what does Joe Dispenza have that I don't have? And he said, I was really not knowing what he would say. He goes, a bigger audience. A bigger audience. And so I just want you to know that every time someone stands upon this stage or stage of your life or anything, that it's vulnerable. And it's vulnerable, and it's wonderful, and it's inspiring, and it's scary. So anytime I see somebody go up there now, no matter what, I go, yeah, you showed up. Or as Brene Brown would say, if you're not, what does she say? If you're not in the field, because it's really easy for us to be curious from outside of here and say how it's all supposed to be, right? But if you're not in the field, we're not in that arena, then just keep all your beautiful thoughts. Sound like a plan? Goes with Marian's. Because we're not going to judge or do any thing of that. So I just want to say you've brought a lot of energy, both of you too. I want to end this with something even more. I'm not curious. We never really knew one another that well before today, right? And am I more wonderful than you thought I was before you came here? 100%. Oh, and Rita? I guess you missed the part of standing here vulnerable in front of everyone. I love you all. Have a wonderful, curious month. Namaste.